There we go. We got her. See if anybody comes on. Hello, everybody. Come on and talk hockey. Couple games in now. Thought we'd get into some. I haven't did this in a while. I don't know if anybody's going to come on, but we'll see. So the big things right now, people are going to be asking what's wrong with the Rangers. Well, it's early, so we're not going to get too hyped up about it. But beginning of the season, I wasn't as big of a Ranger guy as a lot of people were. They came out hot. They've got tons of power. If they score power plays, they win. About the game with Columbus, I was on the Rangers as well. Hey, how you doing, Brian? I was on the Rangers as well until I saw Halak go in, and it was too late. I was already locked in. But as soon as the Halak went in, that felt like a throwaway game to me. When they picked up Halak, hey, how you doing? When they picked up Halak, my main concern was that Halak is a guy that annoys the shit out of everybody in the room. And it really felt like a bad spot for the Rangers there. You got Colorado. They got a big, like, in the future here. They have just let me get you guys up on my phone so I can see what you're saying here. In the future, like in the near future, where are the Rangers? New York Rangers. Yeah, they got Colorado, and then, I mean, the Islanders aren't great, but they're the Islanders. It's still their rival, right? So here's this little Columbus team coming into town on a Sunday. So I should have thought about it more. The Rangers on a Sunday against a team they don't care about, and they showed they didn't care about the game because they put Halak in. Now, I said to my buddy, I said, well, before they put Halak in, I said to Curtis, a friend of mine, I have a feeling they're going to put Halak in here. If that's the case, are you not going to run with Shesterkin back to back with Colorado and the New York Islanders, right? In which case, what are you telling the team? Like, I didn't like it. I think they should have put Shesterkin in. Played Shesterkin against Colorado, and then put Halak in against the Islanders. But here's the thing about Halak. He gets pissed if he always has to play with a tired team in front of him. Halak is like has a big ego, a really big ego. Yeah, he has a really big ego, Halak. And he wants to be put in better spots. Well, you couldn't be on the surface. That's a good spot. You're playing against Columbus, but the thing was though and the other thing about it was the Rangers they outshot Columbus and all of that. Halak really just didn't play well, and the team looked annoyed. The Rangers looked out of sorts and annoyed, and I've heard this over and over and over again with Halak. Everywhere he's been, people don't like him, man. People don't like him. Hi, Mark. How you doing, buddy? And it appears that is still the case. Like, I could be wrong here, but he's not liked by his teammates everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down the list of all the teams. We're 5 games in. And what I think, mostly the teams that I think that, what I've seen so far. Anaheim is exactly what I thought was going to be. I have them second last to last in that division. And the reason why was I thought the pickups of Strome and Vetrano were very meh. And Klingberg, the reason why they picked Klingberg up is the reason why I don't think Anaheim's going to do well this year. First, they didn't really need him. They didn't need that type of defenseman if they're looking to win now. They got way too much of that type of defenseman already. He's not very good. This was a guy that wanted to be traded in Dallas. On the last year of his contract, he didn't even want to make it until the end of his contract. He wanted to give up on the team. Is that somebody you want to be bringing into a young team like this? Like, when you bring in veterans, you usually bring in guys that have character. Klingberg doesn't act like he has the character that you want to spread to these young players. So I didn't like the signing at all, except for the fact that you can flip him at the deadline, and I get that. That makes sense. And that's probably more of what he did it for than anything, which makes sense, I suppose. But it was because of that I put them down low, because all the moves they made look like trade at the deadline moves. Strome, maybe. Vetrano, they're completely out of it. Those are kind of journeyman guys anyways. Pretty easy to explain to them things aren't working. We're gonna go a different direction, which is really the same direction that they were planning on going in the first place. So I'm not surprised, and I don't think it's going to be a rebound. And I also think that it's very likely that Dallas Eakins is let go. Canucks look like they'll be an interesting team. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the Canucks, because they're a big story right now. It seems like so far anyways, I was accurate that the signing of JT Miller was ridiculous. I did not get that signing at all. Why would you give that guy that kind of money? And to me, they got to trade him now. Like, I thought this new management team was going to be a lot better off than they were before. And I mean, I could turn out to be wrong here. They could turn things around or whatever. But I don't see it. That defense is just absolutely diabolically bad. It wasn't going to get better with 1 or 2 acquisitions, I don't think. And how do you acquire it if you give JT Miller, what's he making, $9 million a year? Oh, I would take Darnell Nurse's contract over JT Miller all day. Darnell Nurse is like JT Miller. He was a bit guy, although he had one big year. The year before he was all right. It looked like he was working towards a big contract, and he got it. But let's get the elephant out of the room here, okay? JT Miller was a nuisance in New York and Tampa Bay. This is a guy that is a loudmouth, blah, 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 blah. And that can be chalked up to accountability, holding people accountable. But what I see from JT Miller is a guy who just likes to beat people down when they do crap. Like at the end of that game, he was bad. He was having a raw argument with what's that defenseman that unfortunately is playing top pairing minutes there? Let me bring him up. Unfortunately for Vancouver, anyways. Shen, Luke Shen. Him and Shen were having an argument. And this is not just some one-off thing. JT Miller gets in the face of his teammates. And a lot of people will say, well, that's good. They're holding accountability. Not the way he does it. It's not good. He does it in a way that is kind of disrespectful. He almost publicly was denouncing the coach before denouncing Green in public and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but isn't that crazy? Like, you sign a guy to that long of a contract and then trade him the same year? I suppose that could have been all part of the plan, but I mean, you've just decreased the value of the very player that you had, that you could have traded. I think what happened was they were looking to trade JT Miller, but nobody had cap space, so they didn't know what to do. I think that's what ended up happening. They couldn't get a very good, they weren't able to get much of a return. And because there was no cap space, so they ended up signing him. And, they're in a tough spot with that contract, really tough spot. As it is right now, you almost got to just go with it and trade Horvat and get some defense and then just hope he's okay. I don't know. There was a really bad spot there. I guess it was really a bad spot that they were in because the cap, there's nobody had cap room. But honestly, and I think also nobody in the league wanted to pay him that kind of money anyways. Nobody in the league wanted to pay him the amount of money that he wanted, even if they had the cap room. Well, if you do that, Oilers, man, you're pretty much, I mean, you're decreasing his trade value over and over again there, I would say. You got to hope he puts up points. Honestly, I don't know. At this point, I think they just have to cross their fingers and hope it all works out. But I thought maybe the Islanders might have picked him up. I don't know what the offers were out there. Yeah, but if he gets hurt, at least he's off your cap. Yeah. I think it was the only team that could do that. I don't know. I just thought it was a bad move. But maybe the only move, I'm not sure, but they're in a terrible spot. And forget about they were just on a road trip. It was a tough road trip. It's not like it's the end of the world that they had they have this losing streak and they gave up those leads and stuff like that. But the thing is you knew that going into the season. I mean, you can't have Luke Shen playing 20-some minutes a night. And of course now the injury to Hughes, I mean, Demko's not able to save them right now. And just the whole feeling of the team is wrong. And actually, that's what I wanted to say. Before the season started, I was like, okay, JT Miller is not a bad dude when you're winning. He's one of those guys that are not bad to have on your team when you're winning, but shitty to have on your team when you're losing. He's a blowhard. He complains. He gets on everybody. He brings everybody down. How is that a leader? I don't know. And Bo Horvat is a quiet leader. So really, their captain is him. I thought it was the more I thought it was a terrible signing. But the more I think about it, I'm not sure that there is anything they could do about it. I think if I came down to it, I would have offered him six million with no trade clause and let him sit. But I think there was too much pressure from above to do that. He wouldn't sign a short-term deal. That's the thing. There's no way he would have signed him. You can't just say, you know, it would have been a situation where he would have had to sit out of the lineup. And you've got owners going, oh, hello, we need to put people in the seats here. Odd situation. There you go. Dolan was done with JT's attitude. There you go, Mark. Yeah, the guy's got an attitude, man. The guy's got an attitude. So I was really concerned about that for Vancouver, and it didn't work out. What other teams you want to talk about now? I don't think so. I don't know if he could be traded or not. Chicken price is dropping like crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how much it is dropping. I'm hearing now that Toronto might, they're saying that Toronto might offer Robertson. I don't know about that. He's looking really good right now. Yeah, that makes sense. 2 firsts. 2 firsts or comparable 2 firsts. And that would mean like Toronto would offer Robertson and their first this year in 2023. Because I believe that Chychrun is not really injured. I don't think Chychrun is really injured. They're going to they're looking for a deal. Once they get a deal, he'll come on and play for like 7 to 10 games or whatever, and then they'll trade for him. Maybe. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that this is sort of a holdout by him or like a mutual agreement. We don't want you to get injured, so we'll just call you injured. We'll just call you injured. But I think Toronto will be the number 1 team in there for sure. You look at Toronto, Muzzin's out for a long time now. His career could be over or close to it. I think it would be something like I don't know how the cap would work in that. That's the only thing. They say give Robertson up in the deal. What's he got? He's only making 800,000. I say Kerfoot, but I mean, they don't really have a center to take over that spot. That's too many forwards for them to lose. What's their cap space? Nobody has cap space. Current cap space is 728. So there would have to be another contract going back. He wants to stay. Well, that makes sense because I had, when I did my Chychrun videos, I had Ottawa, LA, and Toronto. LA makes sense because they have cap room and they have pieces they can get back to make the cap work. And they have tons of forwards and defensemen, actually. And they have tons of right defensemen. They really actually need left defensemen. So that does make sense. Something like Spence, what's LA's? I think LA was number 1 for me. Because they got Dursey playing on the left side, although he's playing well there. It probably would be better if he played right. So they could give like Matt Roy, Arturs Kaliev, and a first or something like that. Matt Roy, Arturs Kaliev, and a first. Kaliev needs to go somewhere. They're just not. I don't know. McClellan really expects a lot from his young players before he gives them top minutes. He does. And I think Kaliev is going to be really good. But he expects a lot. I think in Arizona, he would get a chance to really show what he can do. I think at one time Velarde was in there. I'm glad to see Velarde doing well in LA because I liked him when they got him, but he's had a difficult time. But he seems to be doing really well now. I don't think they would let him go. He's too big. They don't have enough big for they don't have enough size in their lineup as it is. Which again, especially on defense, and Chychrun would help a lot in that area. So he would bring some size. He's good offensively, average defensively, and he's got plenty of upside, and he's on a good contract. So I totally understand why Arizona wants more than he does, but I think it sounds like Chychrun is really pushing now. This isn't playing around anymore. I've waited long enough. I'm not playing for your team. Let's get this done. In which case, yeah, the price would definitely go down. What else we got? Any the Edmonton Oilers had a rough start to their season, rough schedule. Played some really tough teams. But they played Carolina, St. Louis, like big teams. But it's still the same problem there in Edmonton. It's defense is still the problem. I mean, I was worried about Campbell and still am. Because he's just so inconsistent. When he's great, he's great. When he's not, he's not. It's just the way he's always been. So, really not much there to surprise. Not much is surprising me when it comes to Edmonton. They're also not known for their strong starts either. So, nothing really surprises me there. Vegas is an interesting one. I was totally on the fence about Vegas. Cassidy being there now, you gotta like their defense. The big question mark for me is Eichel the problem that it looks like he may be? He's good offensively. Is this team just work? Because it's been a whole turnaround of players and no Pacioretty, and they're all got to learn how to play each other. But so far, watching Vegas, they look like they're not confident in their passes and stuff like that. That could simply be that the team isn't gelled yet. And coming again, like Toronto tonight, I think Toronto wins that game. I think Toronto wins that game against Vegas tonight. Big surprise for me with Toronto is the play of Samsonov already. After looking like complete ass last year, he really looks good this year. His confidence is up. He looks like a guy that, and it looks like he's going to stay too. So, and Murray does what Murray does and gets a boo-boo and he's out again. I think Murray might have some anxiety issues or something. I don't know. Something, I don't know. Something just, after Fleury left, he seemed to get like a big head or something. I'm just sharing this out. He seemed to get a big head. And now it just seems like every time he's got a boo-boo, he's got to be out for IR. I think they're just realizing that. In some ways, I wonder if he just doesn't have the heart to play anymore, really. Like, that's where I've got to with Murray. It almost seems like he just doesn't really want to do this anymore. And he just doesn't want to admit it. He's making a lot of money and he just doesn't want to go through the grind. He doesn't want to do the things that he has to do to be in shape, properly in shape to do an 82-game season. And he gets injured all the time. And, he's enjoying his $6 million a year and he's just lost his lust for the game. But fortunately for them, one of the two looks like you're going to pan out all right in Samsonov. And, that bodes well, I guess. I'm still not I don't know if that's the guy I want to go win a cup with, but I guess I have no choice. Buffalo, the Sabres are not surprising me. I had them making the playoffs this year. I don't know if you guys have been watching my videos. I had the Sabres to make the playoffs this year. However, losing Samuelsson is tough. Because one of the reasons why I had them making the playoffs was Samuelsson. Now I hear, let me bring him up, that it's not as bad as they thought. However, I don't know if you guys watch this. Most of you are in the United States. But when Samuelsson signed that contract, on TSN, which is a major sports network here in Canada, they have these panel of people, and I can't remember what the show's name is now, but it's Noodles, O-Dog, which is Jeff O'Neill. He used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Hurricanes and stuff. Noodles was a backup goaltender in the league. I'm terrible with names. Anyways, they were sitting there going, this is what they said basically. I woke up this morning. I saw that Samuelsson signed a $4 million a year contract with the Buffalo Sabres. And I thought, who? And they all went like, yeah, really, right? Who the heck is Samuelsson? Guy has, and I looked at his stats. He hasn't even scored a goal yet. And here they are giving him $4.5 million a year. This is the reason. This is what they said. This is the reason why the Buffalo Sabres are where they are now, because, you know, giving contracts out like this. First of all, this is a major network. These people are paid to know stuff. And also, he said, I'm not here to pretend that I know every player in minor league systems and of every team and all their depth and all like that. I don't protest to know that, and I'm not even trying to. Okay, I guess I can go with that. I suppose I still think if you're going to talk hockey on a regular basis, you should know that, especially when you're paid probably about $500,000 a year to do it, right? But this is Matthias Samuelsson, Mark Brown, Oilers man, all these guys. You guys that come in here and listen, you know who he is. This is the top pairing left defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres. And these guys, it was embarrassing to listen to. And they're laughing. Ha, ha, ha. What are you talking about? Anyways, it was a great deal. There's no doubt that dude's going to be a top pairing defenseman in the league. Sign him up to $4.5 million a year. Long-term deal. It's going to be gravy. Gravy. But we'll get back to it. Injury. Back to the injury. He was part of the reason why I had the Sabres making the playoffs this year. Also, the fact that Granato is an amazing coach, just absolutely incredible. Up there with Tortorella, like rare air good coach, it seems. 6'4", 218. Yeah, he doesn't have a point. He's not going to be a big point producer, but he's an absolute elite defensive defenseman. And what was the deal worth? 4.2. That's going to turn out to be a great deal. How long is he supposed to be injured for? It's still unknown. It was a knee injury, and it's unknown how long he could be out for. I heard this morning that apparently it was good news. Some good news in that situation, so he won't be gone for long. The other reason was off-filling. It was their defense and their defensive system. Now, that being said, they've done this before, right? They did this when, I think the last 2 years, they went on a good run to start the season and then they fell off. So the question is whether they're going to fall off. I mean, I don't think they're going to be as, win 80% of their games like they are right now. But I honestly think that they're going to, that there's a really good chance they make the playoffs. And I put them just ahead of Detroit, actually, because, I mean, I'm not as big of a fan of Sherrod as Yzerman apparently is, and he's getting like 25 minutes a night right now, so we'll see what happens. But I really didn't think they upgraded their defense as much as other people thought. Mata was okay. Sherrod, I mean, he's big. He's more of an offensive defenseman than he is a defensive defenseman. He doesn't put up that much offense. However, and I mentioned this several times before, if he learns to play like Sider plays, I mean, he could be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, Bissonnette. I know. I listen to Bissonnette. I don't know where. He's just a personality and he gets by. But, I mean, I don't know what the hell he's talking about half the time. He's terrible as far as that. all the other guys on the panel know way more about hockey than he does. He's just funny. That's all Bissonnette is. He's funny, the biz nasty. He gets by. He's got a lot of charisma. So people like him, and good for him, man. I mean, after his career where, he probably did okay for himself, but not spectacular, he's able to find a niche to get himself onto TV, and good for him for that. But I agree. Bissonnette says stuff that's just like way out there. I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Sometimes the stuff he says. He still thinks that we're playing in 1990. That's what Bissonnette is, how Bissonnette is. And your Rangers, Mark, is the same thing with the way they're doing that. Now, I said that the Rangers were going to regress this year, and I mean, I can't say, oh, look at because they lost the last 2 games. It's just 2 games, right? They had a hard time getting up for those games or whatever. They did outplay San Jose, so hey, how you doing, Lauren? Welcome back. I think I'll be on for another half an hour, and then I'm going to get off here, but I haven't did this in a while. I'm going to try to get on a little more. I said I would. If I'm not doing my other job or whatever, I'll jump on some more. So yeah, I thought there could be a regression with the Rangers. I have a hard time backing a team that doesn't play well 5-on-5. I thought they would for sure make the playoffs, no doubt about that. I think I even put them second, but what I mean by a regression is I until I see a better 5-on-5, I am not sold on that team. Well, yeah, because Halak has got an attitude issue, and that I'm going to chalk that up to that. He's got an attitude issue. He thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, that guy. He grates on his players. He tells coaches what to do and all that kind of stuff like that. But anyways, back to Buffalo. Even without, like, Owen Power looks fantastic. Lyabushkin has been playing very well. I love to pick up a Lyabushkin. I think their defense is overrated. I think their team are underrated. Their team defense is extremely underrated, and people are like, I'm surprised, and I had them making the playoffs this year. I'm not surprised by how Buffalo is playing right now. I'm not surprised by their goal. I think Comrie's going to be okay. I've been kind of promoting Comrie for a while now, so I don't know. See, the thing with Comrie is that he doesn't seem like he's taking the game seriously. The guy is joking all the time. Everything is a joke to Comrie. And I think part of that is the reason why he hasn't really got the opportunity yet, because you ever have those guys that just never take things seriously? Keith Yandel was another one in Florida. Drove Coach Quenneville freaking crazy. Coach Quenneville drove him crazy, especially since he didn't play well on the ice, and now he's just joking around all the time. But it's just his personality. And we're about to see it too, because apparently he's going to be on a network somewhere now. Yeah, Tage and Cousins. Yeah, so underrated. People are so underrating that team, just because they're a little young, but they're growing and Tuck, and I think it's a well-built team, very well-built team. and it's an immensely well coached team. So I liked it I liked it before the season. I'm going to stick with it. I still say they're going to make the playoffs. A lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, they're going to fall back." Well, I think they will a little bit, but I still say they make the playoffs. Yeah, no, I think they might be a little bit ahead of that. Well, maybe you're right, because I mean they got to learn to win in the playoffs yet. I don't know if I go that far back, 6 years ago, but we'll see. Brindamore, they got the coach and they got the team, and I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 3 years, and that team will be a contender. 3 years. I don't think it's going to be 6 years. And they may surprise there yet. I don't know. But Calgary. So Calgary so far has looked good at times. My issue with Calgary going into the season is how Kadri and Huberdeau were going to how are they going to learn playing into this defense. Sutter plays a man-on-man defense. It's a lot of footwork. So does Tortorella. So does Barry Trotz. Just so happens the best coaches in the world play man-on-man defense. Although Joe Quenneville played zone. So, but Huberdeau, I felt his offense was going to drop playing man-on-man defense. So far, so it's sort of true. Yeah, I think they'll make it in the playoffs. I just think it's going to be really difficult for Huberdeau to be what he was in Florida. That's all. In playing in that system. Their 5-on-5 game last year was good. I don't know. But I think what Sutter is doing right now is he'll always work on the defense first. So if you're not having defensive responsibility, you're right. They're never going to go anywhere. If the team doesn't buy in defensively, he's not going to let him go offensively. So, you could be right. They could actually not make the playoffs this year. And they haven't looked great. I mean, there's been times when they have. The first couple of games, they just went offensively, and they can make the playoffs like that. Sutter knows that. They could just play straight up and down, back and forth, and make the playoffs. But they're not going to win a championship like that. Yeah, well, I think the reason why that is, Lauren, is because Sutter hasn't even got to the offensive part yet. Because he just brought in Kadri, they just brought in Huberdeau. Neither one of them are attuned to the system that he plays. Neither one of them are attuned to the system he plays. So, that's what he's going to do. And Uyghur, he's going to get their defense now early in the season. First, let's see defense. And then we'll bring the offense into it afterwards. That's what he always does with new teams. But I had my doubts about Calgary. I couldn't have too many doubts though, because Sutter's just too good of a coach. That team is too good to have that, like, just like you're seeing with Philadelphia. And I suppose we should talk about Philadelphia as well with Tortorella. Tortorella will do amazing shit. I was having them as being bad this year because usually the first year with Tortorella it's bad, but not great. But it seems like they're buying in right away. And yeah, he's just going to trap the shit out of everybody. Tortorella only knows how to win each game. This game, then we win the next. We'll try to do whatever we can to win the next game, and that's really the way he coaches. He doesn't understand anything to do with tanking or anything like that. He doesn't even understand it. You hire him as a coach, he's going to try to win every game. That's it. And he'll do whatever he has to do it. Slow down the game, trap, whatever. That's what he'll do with Philadelphia. I figured he would do that. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on to this success, but the other thing I knew about Tortorella was that goalies do well when they play with Tortorella. I mean, look at I'm not sure I can think of one goaltender that didn't play well with Tortorella. Happy Bulin. I mean, Lundqvist is Lundqvist, so there's not much you can do about that. Vancouver was too short of a term, but in Columbus, he made Korpisalo look good. Look what's happened to Merzlikins ever since he left. He hasn't been great. And here we go with Carter Hart. And I don't know what his philosophy is, but from what I understand, he just simply tries to work in. And he's an encourager, and he's very honest, and he tells people to be honest. Like that game last night, I didn't think they were going to win that game. They were tired. They've been on the road a long time, and he's not going to bullshit. Like he's going to say, "Look, we're tired, right? We just went through this. He doesn't like shit on his players or anything like that. It's human to be tired in this spot. So let's just try to grind out a win, slow down the game, try to get a couple lucky bounces and pull one out, maybe get a draw." That's what he tried to do last night, and I imagine he even vocalized that to the team. That's really, he's just going to put a strategy that's going to work in the situation, and he's very honest about the situation. Like he's not going to try to sugarcoat it or make it say things that people don't want to hear. And then players end up trusting him that way. You can tell him, "Look, I'm tired today," or whatever. I was out late last night and I probably shouldn't have been, but this is the way it is. Blah 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 blah. And Oilers 5-on-5 is fine. I don't know. I haven't looked at their 5-on-5 numbers. All I do know is that defense still shit. That defense is still, I thought it was better. I thought it was going to be better, but Kulak can't handle those kind of minutes. I think I was hoping, really, when it come down to it. I was just hoping, like, really thinking about it. I try not to be a homer, but thinking about it, like, Kulak going to be in your top four, really? He's good, but he can't play top 4 minutes. Barry is any better, There's still not that much to work with defensively, and I was worried about Campbell. Let's face it, Campbell's been inconsistent his whole career. Why would we think it's going to change now? I don't. But I mean, it's early in the season, but the thing is, you're seeing the same pattern again. It's the same pattern. Skinner hasn't looked great. Goaltending? Not really. It's been okay. I think his numbers look all right now. See, they did well last year. They're playing they're just playing a high possession game, and you can win a lot of games that way. But you can lose a lot of games that way too, especially if you're tired. Right now, the system that Edmonton is playing, they're only going to be good in good spots. Like if they're tired, it's really hard to play that system, no matter how good you're skilled you are. It's very difficult to play a high possession system like that. It puts a lot of strain on your forwards, and once the forwards start to tire down, then they have to rely on their defense, and their defense is garbage. So that's the reason why they say defense wins championships, because you can only play. Florida tried to do it last year. Remember all year last year I said they're not playing a game that's going to win in the playoffs. You know, it was pretty cool what they did to be able to play a forward possession system like that for as long as they did. You know, quick transition up into the zone, and that's what you want for sure too. You definitely want to do that, but you got to be able to play a tired game as well especially in the playoffs. That is a game that you're not likely going to win in the playoffs unless you're like so far superior offensively than the rest of the league. Then you can get away with it, but who is? Like there's a lot of parity in the league right now. There isn't a team that's going to blow you away offensively. Colorado would be the closest, but they don't play that. They can play any way. Carolina is a good example. Brendan Moore has set up a system in there they can play. It's funny with Carolina, they play a system. They don't really change it all that much, but the system itself does everything you need. Brendan Moore is I think Rod Brindamore has brought a system in play that we have never seen before. It's a hybrid system that does take a lot of skating, but it's heavily positionally. That's not a man-on-man. That's a hybrid man-on-man, and in some situations you go zone, some situations you go man-on-man, and everybody knows what's happening. And it's like mechanically beautiful. It's mechanically beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Paul Maurice was more of a trap, though. It really was a trap. Brindamore is much more offensive minded. Paul Maurice was more of a trap. Which was popular at the time, but Brindamore's. I mean, there's a lot of skating. Paul Maurice almost his form of trapping wasn't as much skating. It was much more zone orientated, where sometimes Carolina plays like a man on man, and then when they get tired, they slip into a zone all in the same game, effortlessly and at the right time all the time. It's incredible to watch. So with that being said, tonight we're going to see it tonight. A lot of people are on. I mean, I think even though they're going to play a more tired game tonight. So I think they're going to see. I think you're going to see a low scoring game. Carolina wins like 3-1 or something like that. Because Vancouver, I don't know, maybe they pull it out of their ass tonight, but that team, it would be to me, it would be a miracle right now if that team turns it around tonight against Carolina. Yeah, in those situations, yeah, that's true. The star players, if the star players are open, you pass, and yeah, and I mean, a lot of coaches do that. Dallas, uh, now, I mean, with DeBoer, I'm just seeing a very offensive system with DeBoer. They're relying on Ottinger quite a bit. I still don't think that team's going to hold on. I don't know. I just have. We'll see. We'll see what DeBoer does, but I still have a feeling that team's not going to hold on there. It's just Ottinger is so good; they're gonna keep it going. He's just that good. That's why I had a future on Ottinger to win the Vezina this year. He's just that good. We got Winnipeg Jets are just what I thought they would be so far. I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to be bottom of the league or close to it. I'm actually kind of okay. I wanted to see what Richardson was going to do in Chicago. And I'm seeing some very good coaching from Richardson in Chicago. Well, Jets, I don't think they have much of a choice to tank. That defense is bad, and I just don't think Rick Bowness is gonna change much to that team. I thought Chicago was going to be bottom of the league, but it all depends on Richardson. And I knew that there was a couple players that said they went to Chicago because Richardson is coaching. And if you look at him behind the bench, this is a guy in full control. Like, his demeanor really looks like a guy that's going to be a great coach. And and it's a good motivator and all of that. So I have a feeling that Chicago is actually going to be better than people think. It's just their goaltending and everything is going to let them down, of course, a lot. They're still going to be like out of the playoffs by a long shot, but I'm just not sure that they're going to be bottom of the league until they trade Taves and Kane. If you watch Chicago games, Taves has been playing very, very well. I'm not sure Richardson can speak French, Lauren. Can't speak French. You know how that is there in Montreal, so. He wasn't really fired. They just let him go to Chicago. Well, it's not. I don't know. I don't think he was fired. I think he just wanted to move on because St. Louis was signed long term there, and there was going to be options for him to go somewhere. Probably already knew he was going to kind of go to Chicago, so just sort of a mutual thing to move on. There's a lot of coaching opportunities out there, and if he grabbed one, he was going to take it. They picked, how many guys did they pick over him? Right? Like, if they really wanted him, they should have already grabbed him. They go out and get St. Louis, So he probably saw the writing on the wall that If you don't speak French in Montreal, you're not going to coach in Montreal. Simple as that. Gorton is the president and not the general manager because he doesn't speak French. It might have been a deal where Gorton said that he also didn't want to be the general manager. You get Hughes, who was an agent, is perfect for Gorton because he doesn't have to work on contracts now. So he just has to work on building that team. Which, he's doing very well, I think, anyways. Lindy Ruff there's a lot on the line for Lindy Ruff right now, but Lindy Ruff, I would say, and Dallas Eakins. That Anaheim team is not playing with much heart at all. I don't know how much that's really Dallas's fault. Who do they have in that lineup? Yeah. I think New Jersey's going to be good this year, though, still. I do. I think they're going to beat Washington tonight. I would have liked it better if it was Kemper, but they're putting Charlie Lindgren in. Now I'm a little bit concerned, but yeah, I don't. We'll see this year, but I mean, this is a very young team. If you're going to hire the guy, you got to let these guys grow and see what they're going to do. Blues are playing Grice. Shit. Oh, no. That gives me a headache. I was going to be all over the Blues tonight. I still think Grice will be okay, but I don't know if I still say they beat the Jets, though. The Jets are just bad. But I'm going to bring down my bet. Yeah, what do they have for the next few games here? Oh, okay. I don't understand this. Why would you play Grice here? You're going to play Binnington back to back? Why wouldn't you play against a struggling Nashville team after playing the Oilers? This is what the Rangers did as well. They played Halak in a spot where basically it forces I can't put as much on the Blues now as I was going to, that's for sure. Well, nobody has an excuse for looking ahead to the Avs or to looking ahead, but they all do, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't say it. Yeah, as soon as you put your back up in that spot, you're looking ahead. I don't like it. I don't know why coaches do it. Like when the Rangers did it, I was like, frick, I already had my money in. As soon as they put Halak in, I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Looking ahead to the next freaking. You know a guy that never does this? A coach that never does this? John Tortorella or Barry Trotz, the two most best coaches of our generation, never does shit like this. And Berube, I think, is a great coach, But this is stupid. This is a Binnington spot all day long. You play Binnington here, you play him against the Oilers, and you play Greiss against Nashville, who's been struggling. Yeah, I don't know if you remember when we were talking this, I said that Hart will likely have a great year. Yeah, for sure. Because Tortorella is just awesome with goaltenders. And that was the other reason why I went with the Rangers. Is after with the Sharks, though, they did outplay the Sharks. But Doug, I don't know if you've been watching my videos. I didn't think the Rangers were going to have a. I thought that I had them in second place, but I thought they were going to. I thought there was a really good chance you could see a regression with the Rangers this year. However, it's early, so we'll see. But you were at which game last night, CL? Oh, Sutter. Yeah, Sutter doesn't do that shit. Sutter puts. Sutter doesn't think of his goaltenders as backup or whatever. Yeah, they did outplay Columbus. That's true. They did outplay Columbus, but they were soft. Like, is that what you said? They were soft still. You can't let Columbus have shots like that. They don't have to let Columbus have shots like that. And you don't put your backup in that spot. Just no way. That's a Shesterkin spot all day. Going against the Russian, Tarasov is a good goaltender. He hasn't showed well early, but I mean he's a really good goaltender. You put Shesterkin in that spot all day long. You don't want your team to look ahead? Then don't put your backup spot in a look ahead spot. Really? Like basically you're screaming look ahead by putting your backup there. It's ridiculous. You put the backup, they have a back-to-back after Colorado. You put your backup in there. Hell, I would even go as far as to say, put Shesterkin in here and put Halak in against Colorado. Now, you want your team to wake up and play a game? Put your backup in Colorado. And hey, why not let your backup know that we believe in you? You're going to play Halak, who's got a terrible ego in a down game spot. You're basically telling them, yeah, whatever, you go in here. We'll see if we can beat this team, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. It's a stupid move, man. Just stupid. I'd rather play Halak against Colorado. Barry Trotz used to do that all the time. Barry Trotz used to put his backup up in times when people would be like, why are you doing this? Why are you playing your backup here and against this good team? Well, because I want my backup to think he's good. Like, what's the use of having a backup if you're only going to, like, it's psychological. If you lose a game, that's fine, but in the end, you win. I would rather have Halak against Colorado, if anything. But at the very least, the second part of the back-to-back, the only thing is, Halak complains all the shit when he has to play the second part of back-to-back. Yeah. I mean, I was on St. Louis all day. I haven't put it in, thank God. But now I'm a little bit concerned. A little bit. Putting Greer in here has me a little bit concerned. It's just the Jets are so bad that I don't think it matters. If Binnington was in though, I would have probably took the extra and went in regulation. Now I may just go money line, and I'm not going to throw a lot on the game. It just annoys me all end why coaches can't get this straight. I just don't get it. The difference here in St. Louis, though, I will say though, is Greer has been a goaltender. Greer doesn't have an ego. Winnipeg is still perceived to be a division rival, so it's still a big game, right? So you're putting him into a game that is still fairly big. You're not throwing him in against like Arizona or somebody like that, or a weak team in the East Division or something like that. The one thing I can say about that is Grice still feels important in the spot because it's important to win this game against a division rival. It's early in the season, and players generally don't really know who's good and who's bad right now. They don't think that way. So in that way, I still think this is a good spot. I still think it's a good spot for St. Louis, especially at plus money. Yeah, I think there's something really wrong with that Jets team. And even if Rick Bowness is able to change the environment in there, it probably wouldn't take 1 year. Like, that's a culture that's built up over the years. So, but I'll look at the rest of the games today. That certainly changes things to me. I'll quickly go over the rest of the games and then I'm going to have to move on here. But Senators versus Stars, I can't get a read on this game. The Stars have been on the road for a bit, and I can't tell you how long because the freaking see, they played against Toronto last Thursday, 2 days off. It's been every second day. Norris is out. Are they going to do I have a feeling they could put Westbrook or whatever his name in here. Wedgwood, yeah, they did. They put Wedgwood in. Here's another spot. Here's a look-ahead spot all day. Here we go. DeBoer's doing it again. Look-ahead spot all day long. Ottawa. I'm going Ottawa. Ottawa and probably the over for sure. Maybe the over is the best play here. The best play is probably the over. Over 6. I should throw that in right now because that line's going to change now that Wedgwood is in. It might have already changed. Wedgwood's not bad. Total. Oh, it's still a 6. I think that's got to be an over. Okay, anyways, I'll tell you a look-ahead spot here for sure. Because they got Boston tomorrow. Oh yeah, this is a little different. Because you got to put your backup in one of the 2 games. You're going to be really tired tomorrow. This is actually not a look-ahead spot so much. Because what DeBoer is doing here is he's putting their best goaltender. Rickett, how you doing, buddy? Hockey News Reports. Wow, good to see you, man. Nice. Okay, so what DeBoer is doing here is actually pretty cool. This I like. First of all, the perception is Ottawa's a better team this year. They got DeBrincat. All the players know that. They got to play Boston tomorrow. Now, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that Ottinger is their best goaltender. So a lot of coaches, what they would do is they would play their backup in the second spot and make sure they win this game. But what DeBoer is doing is saying, we're going to crush Ottawa here with our backup, with our best legs, and then we're going to try to win one for Ottinger tomorrow against Boston. So I think the play is the over here. Dallas is going to use their legs today and rely on their goaltender tomorrow. So I could see Dallas winning this. The only problem I have with the over is if Dallas gets ahead, like if they really blow Ottawa right out of the water early, they'll probably try to rest their best players late, which makes it tough for an over. Yeah, this is a good move for DeBoer. This is I believe in my team move right here. Oh, you did a selfie with Primo. Nice. So I don't know if I'm on that game or not. Like, it's a tough card today. I would say it's probably an over. Because Ottawa knows this Dallas team is hot right now. Ottawa knows this Dallas team is hot right now. Over 1.5 first period might be the play here. Because Ottawa's going to come barreling after Dallas for early. Yeah, I know, and I hate that. I don't like that. I still think the Blues win that game, but I don't like what they're doing there. Yeah, like I said, the more I talked about it, though, the more I didn't mind it as much as what the Rangers did. John Lou with the Jets over Habs. What do you mean? Yeah, I still say the Blues win that game. And I still like the under in that game. I think I'm going to put a pick in the under on that game. Grace is not a bad backup. Sometimes he has a terrible game, but usually that only happens when you overplay him. The problem is it's the first time playing in front of this defense. But you got to go the Blues. Like, the Jets have got nothing. Even if Grice does pot a couple, I still say the Blues just come back and win this game. So I still say you got to go the Blues. Well, Grice played more than for the Red Wings. He's been a good backup his whole career. Sometimes Grice can go off and just stop everything, man. Who won goal? What do you mean? No, I wouldn't play the over on that game. It's a 7 now. If anything, I would play the under. I don't know. I don't like playing 7s in any situation. No, he won some games for Detroit. He's a good backup, so he probably has a good game. I still like St. Louis. In fact, maybe it's the best thing that can happen because you should be able to get better money on it now. You should just let it climb towards Winnipeg a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know how often I'll be doing this, but I thought I'm going to try to jump on as much as I can. Yeah, that's the thing. That's a tough one with Vancouver. This is a really tough card. So yeah, I should go on to the other games, I guess. I still like St. Louis. You're getting plus money. Oh, St. Louis, Winnipeg is 6.5. Yeah, I lean the under. Toronto, Vegas. I like Toronto tonight. I just don't like what I've seen from Vegas. I don't like what I've seen from Vegas. I think Toronto's been building. They kind of had a slow start. They've been kind of building. They got a little bit of, it didn't come easy for them early, which isn't a bad thing. And Vegas has lost to some really good competition, but Colorado was in a bad spot. They barely beat Chicago. They looked like they were floating around out there. I still say, even though they have Stone, they have some character issues there. And I think Toronto really wants this road trip to fly. I like Toronto here. I mean, it's cool to watch those young guys play. Goulet looks like he's going to be great, but I mean, they're just so young still, right? It looks like they have a good, solid defense in the future. No doubt about that. Yeah, it looks like they have a solid defense for the future. I think this year will be. Kovacevic looks like he's been all right. I still think he could do some time in the minors and probably will get it when Matheson and Edmondson come back. But it's been fun to watch. Barron's going to be a good one for sure. Yeah, their defense looks solid in the future. And then you got Melu. Is that how you say it? Melu coming up. So, but I like Toronto in that game. I just, you look at their previous games for Vegas. So they played. Did they beat Winnipeg? They lost to Calgary. I think they beat Winnipeg, didn't they? Because they played a good game there. They almost lost to Chicago. And Colorado, they should have won that game. Colorado was in a bad spot, and they didn't play well at all. So now the question is, does Cassidy get them up and ready to play this game here with Toronto, who should have all their legs and should be fairly driven to win this game? I'm going to lean to no, and I say Toronto wins again. Probably over. I would go over. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I was just saying, I had Chicago as the worst in the league, all depending on what Richardson was like. And it looks like he's got that team. I mean, they're going to get scored on a lot. No doubt about that. But at least they have them playing with heavy hands anyways. They're working pretty hard, actually. So they're playing with some pride. And then Carolina, Vancouver. I think you got to take Carolina, even though it's the last game of a road trip. Do you trust Vancouver to turn it around against Carolina? If Carolina would have beat Calgary, I would probably have said they could lose this game. But losing to Calgary, yeah. I don't trust Vancouver to. I don't trust Vancouver in this. I don't trust Vancouver right now at all. So either I'm not betting it or I'm betting Carolina. There's no way I'm taking Vancouver right now. There's just no way. That team looks like totally lost. Yeah, I think that was sort of his way of saying, like, you guys don't pick it up here. We have no choice but to rebuild. Yeah. You know, I don't mind what Rutherford said there at all. Yeah, I mean, wake up, guys. You can't play like this. There's going to be a rebuild. You don't like it? I love the way they did it. I mean, this now if you were planning on doing a rebuild, and I don't know why you signed Miller if you're planning on doing a rebuild, but I'm thinking maybe what they did is told Miller, look, here's your opportunity to be a true number one center. That's what you've always wanted. Here we go. We're going to give you the money. And I think that they gave him, I think they can trade him this year still, right? Maybe they went to him and said, we're going to give you the money. You show us you're going to be the number one you showed us last year. If not, you could be traded at the deadline. And he said, okay, I'll take it. Because probably if he's talking to his agent, nobody out there was going to give him that contract. Now the question is with Vancouver is who's going to trade for that contract now? I don't know. Well, they are going to get rid of those guys anyways, so they'll get those guys off next year and they can start formulating the defense. And I think that's the plan, right? But, well, of course it's the plan, right? But anyways, guys, do you not? I mean, if this team is completely ass, you can easily abort. I would abort. We made a mistake. Just admit it. You made a mistake and you move them. And we thought this team was going to be better. We gave her a shot, but it didn't work. So we're moving on. Anyways, guys, I got to go. I'll get on with you again. I don't know when, but keep on watching for me. I'll be on. It was great talking to you all again, though. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.